It's Friday, and you know what that means.
Fireside Fridays.
So we're going to just chill here out by the fire. Nice, cool winter evening, and drink bourbon, talk about bourbon.
Absolutely.
Have a good time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. So we're going to have a conversation around hunting bourbon. We've kind of talked a little bit about collecting on our last video for Fireside Friday. Tonight we're going to talk about hunting. A little bit about how we hunt, what makes it special, why we do it, how we do it, why it's fun, why we go stand out by the ABC store or the your local liquor store at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning trying to get that one special bottle when it drops 3 days before Thanksgiving. So we're going to talk about that and talk about some things that we've been able to hunt and find and how we've done it.
We've done a couple of those, haven't we, Bill?
We've done a bunch. We've done a bunch.
It's funny too, we kind of talked a little bit about how we hunt bourbon's a little different than how David hunts bourbon.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong way or right way to do it. Just depends on what you're trying to get. If you're trying to get crazy, hard to get bottles, then you got to either make relationships or you got to go camp out in the cold, right? Or you got to go to your local bar or grill, whatever, and get a bottle there, get a taster there. So there's lots of ways you can.
There are lots of ways to do it. Yeah. Now, Dave, you don't hunt that much. You go find most of your stuff off the shelf.
That's right.
You find stuff that you really like, and you just kind of stay in your lane on that stuff.
A little bit, yeah. So, I'm not one of those guys that's going to go camp out the night before, or, go early in the morning and do that. I think there's a lot of value in creating that relationship. There are two stores in particular that I frequent, and one in particular that I've been going to for a long time and have bought lots of different products there, not even just bourbon, but other things as well. And we know each other by name. I walk in, he'll have something behind the counter that he opened already and wants my opinion on. I walked in the other day and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Let me pour you a taste." So I am able to get some of those allocated bottles from that particular store, but I don't go lining up and crazy early hours. I just don't do that. I prefer not to. There are also so many things that I can get straight off the shelf. We've talked about some of those on this show.
Yeah.
We've got an episode about one of our favorite, what are our lineup of favorite bourbons. We even kind of did a high, medium, and low proof that you can check out too. But so there are lots of things out there that are not allocated that are so good.
Yep.
That do I like to hunt some good bottles? Of course. But am I going to just, turn my world upside down to put that as a priority in front of all else? I'm just not at that point right now. I've got a family. I've got, a lot of stuff going on. That does not exclude me from enjoying great bourbon. And I know a couple of great hunters.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So they find all the stuff for me.
Yeah, and again,
there's nothing wrong with that either.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that approach at all.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
And Jennings, we've talked about it. You got me into bourbon. I was a wine guy before. You got me into bourbon and got me hunting and looking and we talked about it when I first started. It was like, build the relationships.
Yep.
But there are going to be some times when you can get allocated bottles and stuff, and you kind of have to have that relationship, just like David's talking about. And
hey, that's neat.
Nice.
Hey guys.
Airplane flying over. That's all right.
Nice King Air.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. But being able to build those relationships and find some of those allocated bourbons. But there are other ways to do it too.
There are.
So things like estate sales.
Sure.
An estate sale people in our state can't sell bourbon, but they can sell collectibles.
That's right.
So, I was out looking for some Dusties and found some stuff. And called you. We'll talk about that on another show. We're going to cover Dusties. But something that was unique is that Jennings has, how many bottles of Blantons do you think you have?
I don't know. I've got a lot.
20?
Maybe.
Okay.
But I've been collecting a long time.
Yeah. So you've been doing it a long time. I've got 3 bottles. But one thing he didn't have, and just, if you guys don't know it, the Blanton's name is spelled out on the little foot of the horse. There are 2 N's in Blanton's. There's the first N, and then there's the second N. The second N has got a semicolon.
That's right.
There in that area. So Jenny's had been hunting for years, had never been able to find the second N, and I walked into my local store, had a relationship with them, and asked the person in the store, have you got anything special? She asked me, what do you want? Is there something special you're looking for? And she said, I've got some Blantons in the back.
Yep.
And I asked her if she had the second in, and I explained to her what it was, and she went in and picked through every bottle they had.
Opened every bottle and looked at every top for
Sure
him.
did.
That's relationship.
That's relationship.
And folks,
yep, for sure.
She walked out, and in this box is the second in. In this bottle of Blanton's that happens to be a store pick.
It's a store pick blends. It's
A
my
store pick
only
Blanton's.
Store pick blends.
And it's the second in. And that's what relationships do for you.
Absolutely.
So hunting, that gives you, it's fun. I was able to pick up the phone and call Jenny's. I'd only been collecting a short period of time.
It was very short.
And I picked up the phone and called him, and I said, buddy, you're not going to believe what I found. And he obviously asked me what it was, sent him a picture of it. And he couldn't believe it. So that was one of the things that I was able to do, hunting down something that was fun. It wasn't just something for me, it was something for you.
Absolutely.
And that we were able to share that. And it's really a lot of fun to do things like that.
It is.
You and I have stood out you don't go stand in line. Oh my gosh.
We stood out up in at one of our local ABC stores on what was it, the day before Christmas Eve?
Year before last.
Yeah, it was year before last. It was Christmas Eve. And my schedule of work happened to be that I was off and he was off, and we went up there and we stood in line, and it was pretty neat. We ended up meeting some guys that we had some commonalities with as far as people we knew in our area. So that was kind of neat. So we sat around and talked with them, and
you ended up getting some. I don't remember what you got that day. I didn't. We were in line thinking of the way it was going to go down was one way, and when we got there, they changed the rules
they changed it on us.
And that
happens too.
Yeah, that happens too. So all of a sudden they start passing out tickets instead of taking the first people in line. I was the third person in line.
I was the fifth.
So we thought we were there to get a big pick. They start passing out tickets and throwing it in a bucket and do a lottery. You got something. I got nothing.
You got nothing. I got a Elijah Craig 18, which I was super happy to get. Some great stuff. But you just never know on those things. You never know. So, if you enjoy the thrill of doing that, and if you got some friends that you can go and sit out there in a chair and hang out and do what we're doing right here, but without a fire probably. You sit out there with your buds and just talk about stuff.
Fire's
That's
pretty
what
nice.
it's all about. Yeah,
Fire's pretty nice. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of different ways to do it for sure. You just got to figure out which way you want to do it. But
yeah, I know some guys that are sales guys. I'm in sales. I sell security software, but I'm in sales. You're in sales. But I know guys that travel for their work where they're up and down a certain highway.
Those guys tend to get a lot of great stuff.
They get great stuff because they're able to stop at, they'll stop at every ABC store up and down they're up and down 85 or 95 or out I-40 or something like that.
And I think that old way of collecting and hunting used to really work. And I don't think it works nowadays the way that it used to. It still works, but it doesn't work the same way it used to. Nowadays, you can't just roll in a liquor store and get something cool.
Not if you don't have a relationship you want.
So that's the reason I'm always saying, pick a store and just stay faithful with those guys. Maybe pick 2 stores and stay faithful and go from there. That's the way that I've always done it.
Yep.
And I had a guy that got me into bourbon years ago and really gave me some pointers on how to do it. And that was his advice. He's like, man, you got to make relationships with these people at these stores. You got to be faithful to them. You got to keep going back, being loyal, keep going. So that's worked really well for me. That's the way that I do it.
Yep. And something else that I've touched on this in some of the other previous videos and stuff, you can go out hunting and you can see things in the store. I mean, if you want to see a George T. Stagg or a WLW or something, a birthday bourbon on a shelf, you may see one, but you've got to make a decision if you want to pay the price or not.
That's right.
I mean, again, hunting for us, the hunt is the fun part of it for us.
That is fun.
We do it because we enjoy it. We enjoy being able to find something or have a relationship.
It's become harder, though.
It is, but we get to meet some great people. We get to talk about what they've picked up for the season so far, what we've picked up. And so it makes it a lot of fun, but paying that high price, if I paid the price of some of those things that people are asking for walking out of a store, I'd feel really bad.
Yeah,
I would.
pretty rough.
I wouldn't be
think
happy.
you do have to kind of weigh some options too, and I agree. I think there is over MRSP and there's like crazy, price gouging, and those are not necessarily the same thing. So I think you're going to have to make an investment one way or the other. Either you're going to invest in a lot of time on the hunt to find what you're looking for. And if you're going to develop relationships at the store, that is going to involve spending money. I mean,
That's
the
right.
store where I get, a lot of my good stuff from, I've spent a lot of money in there over the years on bourbon, scotch, other things as well. And over time, I would say it's fair that's a relatively sizable financial investment for my benefit. I've spent the money on things that I wanted, and that was fine. But I think, a Blanton's for $2,000.
Not happening.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So my local store that I buy the most from has a point system. Mm-hmm. And because of the way they do their points with how much money you spend in the store, if you're over a certain level, then you're on a list, an allocated list that comes out once a month, and you're able to come in and pick one bottle of whatever they've got in stock. And it doesn't go out to the entire community. It's because, they're doing things to be faithful to those that are really buying a lot of product from them.
Oh yeah.
And it works out real well. I've picked up some great bottles
some
this year.
crazy good bottles.
I've picked up, I picked up a Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. I picked up a Sheck's this year. I picked up a Master's Keep 1 earlier in the spring.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That's a great bottle. I picked up an Old Fitzgerald 19.
Which I still haven't found.
And, and everybody's talking about that. And so, I've been able to pick up some really nice bottles. They're not the BTAC bottles and stuff like that, but they're still really good bottles.
They are really
and it's
good.
because of the relationship and the way we do it and hunting and enjoying it. We do this because it's fun.
It is fun.
We get up and film these shows for you guys and for us, and we have a blast doing it, and we laugh a lot and get to hang out by the fire and drink bourbon,
right.
man. It's so hard to do these things, but somebody has to do it. So
Now you can't always find the stuff that you're looking for, but there are some great alternatives.
Absolutely.
So
Jennings,
let's talk about
if you
that.
guys are really looking for Blantons, which a lot of people are, and when I first got into it, like Bill said, every time I'd see a Blanton's, I'd buy one because it was like, wow, it's hard to find, right? And noted, it's good. Well, it's delicious. What's interesting is that you can go and you can probably find this, although this is now becoming hard to find. That's Ancient Age. That's actually, I think that's Freddie Johnson's favorite bourbon, or it was his dad's favorite bourbon, one or the other. It's delicious. And it's age stated, it's 3 years old, so it's not as old as Blanton's.
it's young.
But it is very good. It's delicious. And if you can find that, pick it up.
So what does that bottle run?
$20.
So it's inexpensive.
Maybe 25 for that. Now it's plastic. So it's a plastic bottle. It's not fancy.
There's no special horse on this one.
Yeah, you can
horse.
glue one on the top, I guess.
Yeah, when you empty your first
seen
one, you stick it on
people
the
do
top.
But it's delicious, and I'm gonna pour me some right now.
So
actually.
again, it's made by Sazerac. It's a Sazerac product. It's
Screw top.
Yep, screw top, easy to use. But again,
You guys want to try it?
if you,
Yeah.
I've
Taste
already
it.
got some in my glass. But if you can't find Blanton's and you just want something to taste that's going to be similar, we're not saying it's Blanton's. We're not saying
not Blanton's.
It's not Blanton's, but it's a good bourbon that if you're hunting Blanton's and you can't find it, and you can pick this up, give it a whirl. You never know what you're going to find. Next to it,
And
is
you don't feel bad mixing it either.
Yeah.
So someone comes over and they want a mixed drink, you don't feel bad making them something with that.
you can mix that and
Manhattan old
Good
fashioned
old-fashioned.
something.
Oh, yeah.
and so I tell you what, some people will even do this. They'll take something like this and put it in a decanter where there's no statement or anything on the decanter.
Oh, and tell somebody
and,
something?
and people and say, hey, try this bourbon.
That's
Just let them try it and see what they think. And you'd be amazed at what the different things that people will say about how great a bourbon is when they don't know what it is. Now, next to that,
story.
you've got something else. You've got another Sazerac product called Hancock Reserve.
This one is a little bit more scarce. I've only been able to find this at Total Wine. But it's good too. Now it's low proof. Here's what's interesting. This Ancient Age is 90 proof on the dot, all right? This Hancock Reserve, Headcock President's Reserve,
88 point.
is 88.9. So it's really, really close, right? But the color on it's totally different between these two. I mean, you can see that right there. So they're both really good, but you should, if you're looking for some, try both of these.
Now, my store that I buy from does Hancock single barrels, store picks.
So that's neat.
So being able to get that from them as a store pick is really pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and anytime you can find a store pick of any of these good bourbons, if you can find a store pick from a store that you like the flavor profile and the things that they pick, it's always great to pick some of these bottles up because they're special bottles. You won't get another one.
And if you don't want to make these relationships with these stores like this, I'm sure you have a friend that's into bourbon. And if you find that he likes the same stuff you like, go and hang out with him and he can give you some samples of what he's got. David comes over all the time. Bill comes over all the time. We sit around and we sample all these different bottles at each other's house. It's a blast.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it's all about. Sharing bourbon, right?
Yep. Drink, enjoy, and share.
That's
Drink,
right.
enjoy, and share.
Yeah, and you know, it's pretty cool because I travel for work and I have people that are customers of mine and stuff like that, and we talk about bourbon. But I mean, I travel to a lot of different cities, and I'm kind of all over the East Coast of the U.S. and being able to do that. I mean, I've got customers and business partners and stuff like that that are into bourbon, and so we're able to talk about bourbon and talk about what they collect and how they collect it. I actually got my first bottle of Blanton's. I told you.
Yep.
I kept looking and looking and looking and couldn't find a bottle of Blanton's. And a fellow that I did business with, he's a great friend, great partner, walked into dinner one night. We were having dinner, and he walked in and handed me my first bottle of Blanton's. And buddy, I tell you what, that was exciting.
That's special.
And then all of a sudden, I could get it just like that. It's just it's kind of cracking that egg. The first time you can't get it, the first time you're able to do that. It's just really cool. So
That is neat. That's a great story.
anyway, we hope you guys have enjoyed Fireside Friday. Love having you here. Hope you'll come back. Please do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, share this video out to your friends and to your groups. We appreciate all your time and appreciate you being here. Thanks again. Cheers.
Cheers.
You hear?